This is me. My name is Annika, and I was born and raised in the same town as Cal Poly, right here in San Luis Obispo. Our town is predominantly white and Christian, and that includes my family and I. Although San Luis Obispo is not necessarily the most religious, diverse place to live, our state, California, has endless opportunities for people of all different religious backgrounds to find a community they connect with. This is my dad. He jokes around way too much, but a lot of what I've learned about religion, knowledge, and relationships comes from him. What religious background do you have?
I was raised in a Lutheran family in Minnesota. I was baptized as a Lutheran, went through confirmation as a Lutheran. We used to go to church and Sunday school pretty much the whole time that I lived with them, so up through about age 18.
Why did you decide to raise your kids in a religious home?
It just seemed like the thing to do, as part of my family upbringing. So it seemed like the right thing to do if I was going to have a family.
My dad and my mom got married 25 years ago. My mom had to talk my dad into starting a family, but all in all, I think they both couldn't be happier. Although raised in different churches, my mom and my dad have very similar perspectives on religion and how it can impact your life. This is my mom. We have always had a very special bond as I grew up, and now that I'm older, I strive for the religious faith that my mother exemplifies for me every single day. What is your religious background?
I grew up Catholic. My mom and dad were married in the Catholic Church. My mom had converted when they got married. So it was really important to my dad that all the kids have a Catholic upbringing. So that included doing our first communion, going to catechism, CCD every week, in addition to Mass. I was confirmed Catholic in my teenage years and attended church pretty much weekly until I was out of the house and went to college.
What made you go back to religion later in life when you started a family, and what was your reasoning for raising Peter and I in a Christian or Baptist church?
I thought it was really important to have a sense of something bigger than yourself as a child growing up, and I wanted that for my kids.
One very important thing about my personal religious background is the two different religious communities I experienced growing up. I split my school years between San Luis Obispo and Tahoe City and attended church in both towns. Although I was practicing the same religion, Christianity, in two towns both within California, I felt that each town was an entirely diverse community from the other. In San Luis Obispo, I felt that religion and attending church was more for a status than a relationship with God. In Tahoe, attending church was not popular among my friends at school, and going to church was our family's independent decision to get connected with fellow followers and praise our Savior. What religious community differences did you see between our First Baptist Church Tahoe City and our church in San Luis Obispo?
The church in San Luis was more of a mega church. Had a very large group of members. It seemed a little more regimented in terms of the service itself. The church in Tahoe is obviously a very small church. Even though it's Baptist, you never really felt like it was very regimented. You felt like it was just more of people sharing their faith and enjoying worshiping together. So it was a lot easier to feel a sense of community up there, even though it was a much smaller community. And just gave you a sense of more belonging.
While growing up in the church in Tahoe City, did you feel that most of your friends were part of the church? Did you feel that your friend group was limited based on how the Tahoe City community looked at religion?
I think that segregation between Christians and non-Christians in Tahoe is more delineated on the fact that it's such a small community and such a large portion of your life growing up as a Christian is taken up by the church, because you had church on Sundays and God knows that took 6 hours by the time you were done with socializing afterwards and everything. And then you had youth group at least once a week, and sometimes you had twice a week, and then you went away for a week or two every summer. It was, so I think the segregation there was more based on the size of the community. Like either you went to church or you didn't.
What I am getting at here is that although I have not traveled the world or even met one person from every different religion, I have experienced religious diversity in the 2 different Californian communities that I was raised in, Tahoe and San Luis Obispo. What does religious pluralism or diversity mean to you?
I think pluralism it's easy to see the diversity in religious beliefs, particularly in California, and then also spending a lot of time in the Bay Area. There were a lot more religious communities and friendships that I had at work. There were so many people that were either Hindu or Buddhist or Jewish. My best friend here at home in St. Louis is Jewish. I have a couple of Christian friends. Not as much diversity here on the Central Coast that I'm seeing personally, but there is a lot of opportunity for people to connect with the religious group that they feel most comfortable with.
What does religious pluralism mean to you?
Means multiple religions and dissecting and intersecting into one, or in one area, one perspective, one point of view.
How have you experienced religious pluralism growing up?
Well, I personally went to a Catholic high school, and as part of a Christian family, not particularly devout, but devout enough to have instilled Christian values into me. So growing up in one way and then going to high school in another view of the same idea allowed me to see the dissection and intersection between the Catholicism and Baptist Christianity.
Although I myself have only ever believed and practiced Christian faith, I have learned so much about many other religions that coexist in our pluralist state of California. When studying convivencia in 10th century Spain, I was intrigued by the idea of many religions not only coexisting in one area, but encouraging each other to excel in their own different religious practices. That is exactly what we have in California. Recognizing the different practices that thousands of different Californians have from each other has been so very enlightening to me. I am so grateful that I am growing my religious faith and heading into adulthood in such a place that both encourages individuals to seek a religious community that best fits them, and more importantly has opportunities for nearly every religion in existence to make its home right here in California.